Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's BabyBat, and today we're doing our first ranked episode ever. Today I'm going to be going over all of the Muse albums and putting them in a rank. I know a lot of people have done this so far, but I wanted to do my own thing, and I wanted to do it with other bands as well, and maybe even break down the albums individually, and maybe do top 10 songs by each of the bands that I'm going to be doing. Today we're doing Muse, which is in my top 10 favorite bands, probably top 3 right now. And yeah, I know a lot of you guys, I know there's a lot of opinions about ranking their albums because everybody usually has a different opinion. But today I'm doing my own personal opinion. This may be not their best albums ranked, but my personal favorite albums ranked. There's a difference between best and a difference between favorite. Best is this is their actual best work musically, instrumentally, vocally that they've done, and favorite is personal. Maybe this has one of the songs in there isn't their best song, but there's a personal thing attached to it with you, and maybe it's the first album you listen to them do, even though it's not their best album, it's your favorite album. So there's a difference between the two, and I am personally going to be doing my personal favorite, maybe not their best, but I will always say that this is probably their best album, even if it's not my first pick. But we're going to get into this. This is my ranked albums, least to best, Muse edition. We're going to get right into this with my number 8 pick. This is their first album, actually. It's their debut album in 1999. It's titled Showbiz, and it's not my favorite album, as you can see, because it is my least favorite spot. Doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean there's amazing songs on there, because there are. Showbiz and Muscle Museum are absolutely amazing tracks, and you have to listen to them. It just kind of sounded like maybe they haven't grasped what they wanted to sound like. It's very early, you can tell it's very raw. Not in a bad way, it's just it doesn't really sound like Muse to me. Very Radiohead inspired. I'm not saying Muse is Radiohead, don't even start with that. And Radiohead's amazing, I love Radiohead, but it just sounded like they haven't found what they want to sound like yet, and that really comes across as just kind of maybe conflicted, like they didn't know quite what they wanted to sound like yet. And that's usually what happens on a debut album. So, not judging it, there's amazing songs on here. You can listen to it, you might love the album, might be your favorite album, but it personally is not my favorite album. Simulation Theory, their most recent album, is my number 7 pick. It is very different. It's executed wrong. They were trying to do this concept album that we're in a simulation and kind of like a Ready Player One type of thing. And I think they just executed the concept wrong. I didn't really get that vibe from all the songs together. It didn't really give me that we're in a simulation. A lot of the songs kind of dragged on. They were repeated like Propaganda. They added another chorus at the end that they really didn't need to. They could have just dropped it off there. It kind of repeated itself. Again, just like Showbiz, it sounded like they were kind of conflicted in the studio. A lot of the songs came out amazing. I love the individual songs for the most part, but just together as an album, it just kind of falls apart in my opinion. The album isn't smooth together. It's very bumpy. Especially at the beginning. Even though the songs are nice, I don't think they're in the right order. They don't really flow together. It's good if you add a few of the songs into your playlist, but if you're listening to the album as a full together, it doesn't really stand very well. The best songs on this album are The Dark Side and probably Blockades, but I do love Propaganda as well. I love how experimental it is. They haven't really done something like that before. The loud, big sound of that experimental and like distorted vocal at the beginning saying Propaganda, and then it goes into this deep, smooth, just dark bass drop with some acoustic. That sounded amazing. The first time I heard that, I was hooked. The Resistance is the first time that they really tried making orchestral music and stuff like that. They've had it before, but like full on, like United States of Eurasia. They were trying something new. There are a lot of amazing songs on this album. I think all of them are absolutely amazing, but together, if you're listening to the full album together, it does get a little bit boring after a while. The Exogenesis outros, again, there's 3 of them. They're really long. I've heard them once and they're amazing. I've heard them a few times actually, but usually if I'm listening to the album, I kind of skip over them or maybe listen to the first one. I just don't see myself coming back to those Exogenesis outros. It's their first time getting more into a poppy vibe, especially with songs like I Belong to You and Undisclosed Desires. It's kind of like they went into the second law and they added more of a rock vibe and a dubstep vibe to the Resistance, because the Resistance is just their first try at making a sound that is more poppy, and I think it was kind of missing a few elements, and later they figured that out and they got it back. The best songs on here that you guys need to check out are probably Undisclosed Desires, The Resistance, Guiding Light, of course Uprising, but I'm sure you've heard that. I love MK Ultra is pretty good. I haven't really heard it all that much. I just don't really come back to this album too much. I Belong to You is also an amazing song, and yeah, that's basically all I have to say for this one. Drones was their 2015 album. At first, I absolutely loved this album, but the more I listened to it, the more I kind of grew out of it. I'm not entirely sure how to explain it, but the concept as well with Simulation Theory, I think it was executed a little bit better than Simulation Theory, but it still wasn't perfect. They kind of just mentioned the word drones in all of the songs, and that was a concept. I'm not entirely sure. A lot of them pulled them off perfectly. The Handler just perfectly nails that concept of being controlled by somebody else, a corporation, government, or whatever. It perfectly nails that. But songs like Aftermath and Revolt, not so much. Even though they sound amazing and the instrumentation, the vocals are amazing, it's just that concept kind of just that it isn't there. The Defector as well. It just kind of fell off towards the end, in my opinion. The interludes, JFK and the Drill Sergeant, also ruined the fluidity of the album. If you're listening to start to finish and take out those interludes, it sounds way better. JFK is alright, but the Drill Sergeant, I just can't listen to it. It's not even in my playlist. It's cringy, it's just... And they didn't even need to put that there, I think. Because they replay it in the song. It wasn't very good. But some of my favorite, hands down favorite songs by Muse are in Drones. Those are Dead Inside, Reapers, The Handler, and I would say Mercy's pretty good, but I feel like I've heard that song before, if you know what I mean. The Second Law was their 2012 album, and it kind of was a breakthrough for them. Starlight was a big breakthrough for them, and then Madness came out, and that was another big breakthrough. This is more of a rockier album, I would say, but it was also mixed with that pop vibe that they got from the Resistance and songs like Animals and Explorers, Follow Me even, maybe. And they mixed it a little bit with that dubstep electronicness, because a little bit. Have you heard Unsustainable? But Unsustainable is kind of a phenomenon in that album. It's weird. We'll get into it in a minute. It was 2012. Dubstep was climbing up the ladder there, and they mixed it in with there, and it is perfect. They perfectly nailed it. The synths, that electronicness mixed with the rock and maybe even the poppier vibes of this album are amazing. They perfectly put them together, and it sounds amazing. It was more of an emotional album, and it was also very abstract at the same time. Follow Me has the heartbeat of Matt's unborn child in it, playing at the beginning. The entire thing is about how when Matt's child is born, maybe when they're older, that he's always going to be there for them. And it's very wholesome, and just a very good song in my opinion, especially at the end where he does that yelling and just the drums and the synth and the bass all back him up. It's euphoric almost. The more abstract side of the album are songs like Animals and even Madness, I would say, is very abstract. Survival as well. There's a lot of things that they've just never done before. More of personal things. Also, Chris sang. He did 2 songs in the album, Save Me and Liquid State, which are two of the better songs on the album, I think. Not better, but they are very good songs. And Chris has a really good voice. We didn't hear him again. I think he did some backups in drones. I think in The Globalist, I think he did a few backups singing in there. But besides that, he hasn't done a song yet, which is kind of sad. I kind of want him to do it again. But the 2 songs were about his drinking problem. He was an alcoholic. He got through it, and he just needed to make those songs, and he did. And they're really good. They're a good part of the album, and they really bring the album together at the end. This album also contains some of their best music, things like Animals, Madness, and even Isolated System, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. The Second Law, Isolated System, it was their last track on the album. If you haven't heard that, it's amazing. It's so calming, and the way that they put the piano together, and it's in the World War Z soundtrack, I believe. I think it's the theme song for it. The only thing I would also say is that some of the lyrics kind of felt cheesy, especially in Survival and The Big Freeze. Matt Bellamy has never been the best writer, but a lot of his songs are very well written, and some of them are kind of cheesy. I think Survival and The Big Freeze are kind of more of his cheesier songs, but the instrumental and the vibe of this song and the hype of the songs really takes over that. You don't really hear how cheesy the lyrics are because the song is so good. So it kind of makes up for that, but it's still something to address. The best tracks on this album are probably Madness, Animals, and Isolated System. Not saying that the other ones are not superior to that, but just saying that those are the ones that you should check out first before checking out the rest of the album. "2001's Origin of Symmetry." This actually came out the year I was born, and it's nothing I have ever heard before. The first time I heard this album was insane. I did a few reactions to it, but not until I listened to the album fully I was actually shocked. Bliss is the first one I heard off of this. I didn't do a reaction to it, but one of my favorite songs of all time, I'd also say. It flows together perfectly. The lyrics are amazing. Everything about Bliss is amazing. It's just euphoric. The album flows together perfectly, start to finish, which is very important for me if I'm going to be adding full albums in my playlist, which I normally do on Spotify. I just add the full albums, unless there's a few singles that I might want. But I usually, if I love a band, I'll add the full discography to my playlist. The album contains soft ballads mixed with raw, punk-inspired rock and metal. Even on some of the tracks like Hyper Music, you can hear like Jimi Hendrix in there. You can hear his inspiration for Matt in that, especially towards the end with that instrumental guitar solo. Absolutely amazing. And it also has some of their best songs ever. Bliss, Plug-in Baby, Citizen Erased. Very, very good songs. Those are ones that you definitely need to check out by Muse. They had very abstract lyrics and concepts, especially in songs like Newborn, Megalomania, and Microcuts. Microcuts was actually a dream that Matt had. He was in a barren desert landscape. There was like giant blades in the sky, and they were coming down, and if you listen to the lyrics, if you look up the lyrics, they are very abstract, and you can just build this world in your mind while listening to it, and the scary just tone that song has, it's very eerie. His vocals, just that high-pitched, almost opera-like. I don't know how to explain it. It's just very eerie. It kind of gives you a creepy vibe if you know the lyrics. If you don't know the lyrics, it's just crazy shit going on, but it sounds amazing. Definitely need to check that song out. The best songs on this album, I have a lot of them. Bliss, Space Dementia, Hyper Music, Plug-in Baby, and Citizen Erase. Those are my favorite. Space Dementia is absolutely probably the second best song on there. Bliss is number 1. The third is probably Citizen Erased, and then Plug-in Baby and Hyper Music, I would say. But yeah, that's a very good album. On our number 2 spot, we have Absolution. I'm pretty sure most of you guys thought Absolution would be number 1, but for me, no. This is most people's favorite album. It flows together perfectly. A lot of their best songs were on this as well. Sing for Absolution, Hysteria, Butterflies, and Hurricanes. Concepts ranging between the end of the world, government conspiracy, death, love, and war. The best things that you can write about ever. A dystopian future. Wide variety of music from ballads like Sing for Absolution, Blackout, Ruled by Secrecy. Sing for Absolution is actually a ballad written about the extinction of the human race, and it's one of the best songs on the album. There are also hard rock anthems like Hysteria, Stockholm Syndrome, The Small Print. Fury is on there as well. I don't know if everybody can listen to Fury. I know it's a bonus track in America. I don't know if it's released anywhere else. Pretty sure it's in the UK, but if it's not in your country, I'm sure you could find it on YouTube somewhere. It's a very good song. There are also songs that are kind of a mix between the two of those. Things like Apocalypse Please, Butterflies and Hurricanes, Endlessly, and Thoughts of a Dying Atheist. Very, very abstract, experimental songs, especially Apocalypse Please. Endlessly and Butterflies and Hurricanes are two of the prettier songs in this album, and Thoughts of a Dying Atheist is more of a... the lyrics are very serious, but the song is kind of more of a silly thing, especially this... the chorus. It's very fun, enlightening, and it's just a very good song all the way around, even though it's really dark. My number 1 pick, Black Holes and Revelations from 2006. Now, Absolution would probably be my favorite if this album wasn't so personal for me. This is the first album I've ever heard by them. Very experimental concepts and instrumentation. Government conspiracy, love, possibility of the afterlife, I would think. Just because a lot of people say that Black Holes and Revelations came after Absolution. They were actually 2 albums that kind of came together in that sense. And Absolution, the world ends, humans die, and Black Holes and Revelations take place in the afterlife, which kind of makes sense because it's very dreamy. The concepts are very out there, especially songs like Starlight, Take a Bow at the beginning. I just put this together. Take a Bow at the beginning is nothing like the rest of the album. It almost sounds like it takes place at the end of Absolution, because it's like, you will pay for your crimes against the earth, and then it says you will burn in hell, and then this giant just wave of noise comes in, and then you go into Starlight. So it's almost like the beginning of the album's like the earth is dead, it just died, you're going to burn in hell, and then it goes into the afterlife, which is the rest of Black Holes and Revelations. That makes a lot of sense to me. There's a lot of dreamy tracks on that album, a lot of more abstract lyrics as well that could also point to that, especially in songs like Map of the Problematic, which has more of a standard rock feel, and it also has the beginning of that 80s inspiration that you see by Muse that also comes in later into The Resistance and songs like Guiding Light, and then really comes in with Drones. Dead Inside has a big 80s kind of feel to it, and then Simulation Theory, the full 80s thing. So this is kind of marks the beginning of that 80s vibe you hear with Glorious, which is a bonus track on the album, and it's one of the best songs on the album, I think. Glorious is amazing. There's a nice balance in the album. Heavier songs like Assassin are kind of complemented by slower songs like Invincible and Soldier's Poem. My favorite song by Muse, hands down, is on this album, and it's called Map of the Problematic. If you guys absolutely love that song, let me know in the comment section. You guys have to listen to it. If you haven't heard it, you have to listen to it. It's hands down Muse's best song, in my opinion. Just the dreamlike reverb on his voice and the way he's just sounds like he's singing into the sky. Just everything about the song, the tempo, the guitar, everything put together kind of makes you just kind of fade away and just kind of stare off into the distance and think about things. It's very, very good. The guitar, the really weird guitar thing that they do at the beginning and throughout the album with that piano in it, and it's very good. The album flows together perfectly as well. The best songs, I would say, are Map of the Problematic, of course, Supermassive Black Hole, City of Delusion, and I'm sure you've heard Starlight, so I'm not going to put that on there. City of Delusion's amazing. I'd say Glorious, Knights of Sidonia as well. I'd say most of this album is very good. You should check it out. Hoodoo is very good as well. It's one of the more underground songs that no one really talks about, but it's some of the best lyric writing, I would say, that Muse has had in any of their songs. Exopolitics is very good. More of a standard rock thing going on, but it's very experimental, I would say, with especially the drumming in that song. So there you have it. That is my Muse albums ranked least to best. This is my first time doing a rank thing, so it's probably going to be awful. I'm going to have to edit a bunch of my my ums out because I stutter a lot when I'm making these videos. So, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. And yeah, I have a lot of bands: Linkin Park, Marilyn Manson, Architects, Bring Me the Horizon, maybe even. If you want to comment bands down in the comment section, please do. And if I haven't heard the full discography by a band that you want me to do or want me to listen to, if you want me to listen to a band, put it down in the comment section. I'll listen to their full discography, put one of these things out for you guys, and it'll help me discover new music. Hope you guys discover new music. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say. So sorry about this entire video because it is a train wreck, but I hope it will get better in the future because this is only my first try doing it. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, please like, subscribe, comment, follow us on Twitter. Link is down in the description. Check out some other things in the description. I have my outro song that I made called Bliss, totally stolen from Muse. I'm just kidding. It kind of has that same feel, which is why I called it Bliss. But if you like that, the video for that is down in the description, as well as the full album. The full album is metalcore though, so if you're not into that, I wouldn't listen to that. But my most recent album is on my YouTube channel. If you go to my playlist and go to my albums, it's called Iridescent. It starts off very heavy, but if you actually listen to it, it gets more lighthearted and very dreamy into it, and very experimental, and I think you guys will enjoy it. It's very different. It's nothing I've ever heard before, but I sat down, made it, and loved it. So if you guys want to listen to that, do it. I'd be very happy. And let me know what you guys think on the album, because I'm working on new music right now. It's very different, but I want you guys to tell me what you think about Iridescent, because that came out May 22nd, and I haven't gotten too much feedback, but I've gotten a lot of likes on it, a lot of views on it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Sorry this is taking a long time for me to end the video, but I will see your face in the next video, and as always, have an amazing day. Peace!